Welcome to the Maritime Startup Ecosystem Interviews, a series we created to give even more exposure to startups from the Maritime Startup Ecosystem Network. Today I'm here with Gabriel Ferrus-Clary of Seaport Solutions. Seaport Solutions is a technological startup that offers an IT solution from the family of port CDM systems to optimize port call processes based on automated real-time information exchange among all the stakeholders. So welcome, Gabriel. Good to see you.
Hey, welcome, Leonardo. Yeah, and thanks for this nice introduction about the new company, the new startup.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great. It's always great to find about startups in the ecosystem and to get them join the ecosystem, because I think the more we are, the stronger we are, the better, the more value we can offer to each other, to the community. And I would say to Maritime, because the objective is really to help Maritime progress from a, let's say, 20th century business to a 21st century business. Someone could also claim that it's not a 20th century, it's an 18th century business. Let's not be too hard. Let's not be too hard. So, sorry. Gabriel from Valencia.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you tell us something about the company and I would say your role in Seaport Solutions and how the company came to be, and so a general understanding of what the company is.
Yeah, you did a really good approach about our company. Is Seaport Solution is Seaport is the acronym of Ship Efficient Approach at Port. So what we want to create is a platform for optimizing all this information exchange in real time and in automated way, if it's possible, among the different stakeholders that take part during the port call processes at port. The company was like pushed forward by Valencia Port Foundation, that was one of the main stakeholders, and as well Infoport and IADES. Infoport is a Valencian company too, why we have a close relationship with the IT developments in different ports at national level and international level too. And IADES Consulting, or the IADES Partners, IADES Business Partner, is a Canadian company from the Canary Islands as well. They are quite with a big expertise or wide expertise developing IT solutions for the maritime port sector. Yeah. So our idea is like just make this information available for all those stakeholders that are taking part during the port call processes, making it available so they can take better decisions or making better decisions and using more efficiently the different resources that they have available during all those processes.
Okay. So it's a platform to coordinate different stakeholders, different actors in the port community to make basically, I guess, port calls more efficient, so that ships don't wait. Okay. And so what's the relationship with Port CDM? Because Port CDM, I understand it's a global initiative coordinating several ports. Can you tell us something about this?
Correct, yeah. Port CDM is a concept under the umbrella of the STM services. STM is a whole concept. It's the sea traffic management concept. It's a concept for like managing all these decisions regarding the maritime transport. So particularly the concept of the Port CDM is about like improving the efficiency of the information exchanges. So all those events that are happening during the port call process, since the ship is arriving to the port waters, until the ship is in the terminal, all of those operations that are happening in the terminal should be exchanged by means of a platform. That collaborative platform is gathering all this information and then facilitating the information exchange or the information consumed by means of the platform to the different agents. So the agents will be well informed and knowing what is happening during the process. And they don't have to make phone calls or radio calls asking about like what is happening with the ship. Is the ship still in the port waters? Have the ship just departed from the port? All this information is the one that we want to gather and to to join together in the platform and making it available for the different agents, and as well, and this is really important, by means of the different authorization. The terminal that is that the SIP is going to will be well informed, but of course other terminals will not have access to this information because that SIP is not going to the other terminals in the port.
Yeah. So it's also
an important aspect from the
because the
information.
Yeah, there is this aspect of ownership of information and of sort of privacy, because there's no need to tell everybody or about everything that is going on in the port. Just the interested actors or stakeholders will know about the relevant information. That's very, very clever, and I would say it's very, like, I would say obvious. I would think that someone who is not in our sector would think, oh, well, obviously this is how a port works. In fact, we know that in reality, the way port works is much more convoluted in the sense that there are all these calls, VHF calls, telephone calls, asking, like, passing the word from one to the other, and then really there isn't, or there wasn't, a common platform where all this information would be available in real time. And so you created this. That's very,
it looks like an easy process, but it's quite complex once you start to studying it, and it's a lot of different agents, a lot of people asking for information, so this information is not always so easy to share.
No, absolutely.
Once you know the sector is,
I was thinking from outside, and as always, if you don't know how something works, it's easy. You know, how does a computer work? Why, it's easy. You press on the keyboard and it works. Well, it's not exactly like this. There is a lot of stuff going on inside, and same for a port or for any like complex machine or environment. When did you start this? How old is the project?
We started working in this idea under the framework of the previous project to the STM validation. The previous project was called Mona Lisa 2.0. In that project, we start defining what was like the general idea, the strategic idea of the STM itself as a concept, the sea traffic management. So we start defining those concepts. One of the key concepts, of course, was the port collaborative decision making. And once it was really well defined, we decided moving forward and start like validating these ideas. So we start with the STM validation project. It was funded by the European Union. That's an important thing to say.
Yeah.
And under the second project, the STM validation project, we just deploy the pilot test in different ports. We, Valencia Port Foundation, were coordinating the deployment and the validation in the Mediterranean ports. So that was a really long process. And we started like 5 years ago, even. Yeah, exactly. In Valencia, we can say 5 years ago.
Yeah. So now, as a startup, who are your clients?
Our main clients are going to be, of course, those ones that are like managing the ports and the port facilities. So potentially port authorities, but as well, they can be like terminal operators or any of those agents with the capacity to push forward this concept itself. I mean, if someone is interested, for instance, a terminal operator, they can just try to involve the other agents and try to develop.
Absolutely. Yeah. So at the moment, in how many ports are you active? I guess Valencia, for sure.
We have started being active in Valencia, of course, because there is a clear interest. It's still not anything close, but we are working in this direction, let's say, but still is something that have not been concrete. But we have like got quite positive feedback from other different ports all around the national level and some of them international ones. So
okay.
A very important aspect that I haven't mentioned is like the use of a standard. What we are going to be using in the platform is a standard and for the message exchange. So this is as well a really important thing, because we realize that in different ports, they were considering more or less similar situations in a different way. I mean, when a ship was arriving to the port, some ports were considering that arrival in port waters, but some of them were considering the arrival when the ship was already at berth.
At the
So
berth.
that confusion is going to be like solved by the use of a common standard, a common understanding of the situations at port.
Yes, yeah. This is absolutely important if you want to coordinate and have a common platform. You have to establish standards. So basically, you have a working platform that you are launching in a way in Valencia port, or starting to make work in Valencia port, and you have other ports that are interested. At the moment, there are no. It's not specifically implemented in any other port. You're just you starting to get interest from different ports, and probably you want to run. So what's the sort of the next steps? Are you going to run pilots with interested ports, or how will it work?
In our business model, that's correct. That's our first approach. We want to start gathering ports and developing kind of pilots, because we are conscious that we have to start with something, and we want to show and to prove the potentiality of the concept itself. So first idea is like trying to develop those pilots and being able to show with quantitative figures the potentiality of the improvements at port. We have some figures coming from the previous project. In the STM, we realized how good this kind of deployments could be for a port, because first measure that we started doing show that it depends of the kind of ship, of course, but the ships are making loading and unloading operations only from 40 to 65% of the time. So that means that the rest of the time they are doing other operations, even at port waters. So we want to improve that. I mean, ships are calling in ports for doing those operations, cargo operations. So the rest of the time could be like managed in a better way, let's say.
Yeah.
Of course, there are time consuming, that is obvious. I mean, the pilot is the towage, all those operations have to happen.
Yeah.
For calling at port, but it could be improved. Probably.
Yeah. Because ideally, you want the ship always in a working situation, whether it's sailing, being towed, being piloted, being towed to the berth. But as soon as it's towed to the berth, it should start operating. And as soon as the operations, the loading and unloading operations finish, you should be able to leave the berth rather than waiting for you know what, because there could be a million other things that could have been done before, and instead it waited to be done till end of operations, end of loading and unloading operations for no reason. I mean, for the only reason of not knowing what the state was and what the next step would be and when the end of operations is expected. So
correct. I mean, we got inspired by the JIT arrival concept that is being pushed forward by the IMO. Yeah. And this is as well a really clear idea for us. I mean, we are not saying that we are start working or improving the ship to port operations, but it's something that we'll have in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's great, and I would say that now you have a lot of history of validation, early validation, and trying to making it work. Now you are getting close to validating it with real ports in real operations. So I think that now the idea for you is to grow and to be able to finance all this growth. So on this part, I'd like to understand what's your funding situation, if you're fundraising, and I'm asking particularly because it might be that there are some investors who are listening to this and they might be interested in this particular startup for this particular objectives. Of course, remember that this is a public interview, so don't share like private and confidential information, but anything that you can share about your investment plans is super welcome.
Yeah, correct. So far, our main investors are our three partners, Valencia Port Foundation, Infoport, and IADES,
Yep.
of course. But we are looking for other funds of investment so we can develop in even additional functionalities that we have not include in this minimum viable product. But yeah, it's something that we are still studying and working on, let's say.
Okay, okay. So you don't have a funding plan in place, like saying we are going to raise this amount of money by this date.
Still not. We are going to discuss that and just moving forward.
Okay, okay. That's good. It's good to know because this means that for an investor it might be interesting maybe to start talking to you to understand what's the next steps will be and what might be expected of them, of the investor, and what you might provide in terms of growth and of results. So
right, we are open to that discussion. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely, great. So, Gabriel, thank you very much for this chat. I think it was very interesting to see how a port, actually foundation attached to a port like Valencia Port is, Valencia Port Foundation, sorry, can support the creation of innovation and of startups from within. With a startup and entrepreneurial perspective rather than with a sort of top-down, we are the big company and we innovate this way, and they create something that maybe and ends up not being so useful. So the startup approach, I'm always supporting the startup approach, and I really like to see that even like a big entity like a port authority and the foundation attached to it can think like a startup. So really congratulations. I'm really happy to see this. And thank you very much for the time you spent with us, and good luck for everything. Thank you. Gabriel from Valencia Port Foundation and Seaport Solutions. Thank you.
You're welcome, Leonardo. It was a pleasure.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.